Hey, it's Nikki Parks with Seaport Real Estate Group, and it's Talk About It Tuesday. Today, I am joined with Joel Gerber from Brandon Searcy & Smith. He is one of our favorite closing attorneys here, so real estate lawyer.
Yes.
Joel, how long have you been practicing law?
I've been practicing law since 2001.
Okay.
And I've been doing real estate really since 2013.
13. Okay, well, you're really good at it. I was hoping today that you could kind of walk us through the Georgia closing procedures as far as the legal end of it.
Absolutely. All right, so in Georgia, all the real estate closings are conducted by attorneys. So there's some states where you might hear title companies. We don't really have that here that do the closings themselves. So first and foremost, once you work with an awesome realtor like Nikki, and you get a home under contract, they end up sending the contract to us. Mm-hmm. And then we do 3 or 4 major steps. We order what's called title work. We go to the courthouse and make sure that the seller,
the actual seller.
is the actual seller, and that if the seller has mortgages or back taxes or things like that, we make sure those are paid when you buy the home. And we coordinate with all the parties. We're coordinating with both realtors, buyers, sellers, and the lender, and kind of pull it all together. We don't ever like to talk about how it's really made. We just want you to come in and have a great 30-minute closing experience and get a new home.
And you guys are great about that. And you're also really good about, if people do have questions, taking the time to answer the questions. So it's always appreciated. But one of the things I've heard you kind of indicate in a closing is who the lawyer represents in the closing. Could you put some clarity on that?
Yeah, a lot of people are surprised to learn that when there's a lender involved, the closing attorney actually represents the lender.
Correct.
Okay, if it's a cash transaction, we represent the buyer. Okay, and a lot of people are like, wow, why is that so weird? Because like on the contract, the buyer generally will pick the closing attorney, but we do technically represent the lender. And I do have buyers that ask me that, like, why is that? And, well, do I need my own lawyer?
Yeah.
And what I tell them is, you really don't, because everything that we're doing for the lender is really the exact same thing that you would want me to do to protect you.
Correct.
I'm not going to let a lender loan you a bunch of money if there's a problem with the house.
With the title,
yes, absolutely. So that usually puts them at ease.
And we get a lot of transplants here from all different states, and some of them do it vastly differently. You're talking about having your own attorney. I know I've worked with several people from New York, and attorneys actually handle the majority of it on both sides, right? Have you ever done anything?
Well, I haven't done it, but I know exactly what you're talking about, only because we have so many people coming in. I actually have to make a special point to let them know kind of the limited scope that we have here.
Correct.
Because, for example, I had a guy in New York, and he's asking me about, did I review the covenants and restrictions, okay, which were like 140 pages long, because they've been over, 25, 30 years. And I explained, well, that's not really something that I do. If you have questions about something you're reading, let's definitely talk about it. And he explained to me, wow, that's so different, because I remember going into my lawyer's office and sitting there for 4 or 5 hours poring over the covenants for whatever building or whatever unit they were purchasing. And I explained to him, and I said, sir, I'm happy to do this with you if you want. But for like a cash closing, there's other fees involved, but like the attorney's fees are $545.
Yeah.
I said, so I'm gonna guess that your attorney in New York charged you about $10,000. So I joked and I was like, sir, if you wanna pay me $10,000, I will sit down with you and I will go through all of these covenants with you. So appreciating that our scope down here, and I even tell cash buyers at closing, is that generally we represent the buyers, but I only represent them as it relates to the transfer of title. We don't go to the property. We're not involved with any of that process. And that's where the realtor kind of comes in and plays that critical.
And I guess that's the thing too, for a lot of people coming in from out of state, Georgia is a buyer beware state. Like the responsibility of doing the research ultimately falls on the buyer's side.
So much so, and I do not do litigation, but I've spoken to a number of litigation friends who explain that, and this always blows my mind, but even if the sellers lie. It is incredibly hard to turn around after the closing and sue a seller for misrepresentation. And because of what you just said, because apparently if these things do go to like a trial, it's not just did the seller fail to disclose, it's could you have discovered it during a reasonable inspection or reasonable research? And most things you can.
Well, and if anybody who really pays attention to the seller disclosure, is to the best of my knowledge. So then you have the onus of proving, like, did they really know?
That's right. When buyers ask me this, I tell them, honestly, you can look at what they're giving you, because sometimes they will be very honest and they'll tell you, we had a roof leak back in 1947 or whatever, and that's cool. To glance at it quickly, make sure nothing jumps up.
Yeah.
But you gotta rely on these professionals. I tell buyers all the time, look, you've done your research, you've picked this amazing realtor, they have, really perfected and continue to perfect their group of folks that they're gonna recommend, right? So they've used these lenders, they've used these home inspectors, they've used these insurance people for years. And again, ones that didn't come through the form or they didn't think were responsible, did a great job, they move them off.
Correct.
And so again, that's why people ask me, what's the most important part of kind of your world? And I tell them, it's the realtor, right? But a lot of people would say the lender.
Yeah.
And again, I hear you. Having a great lender is critical. But usually you find that great realtor, they're gonna have these great recommendations for folks that they've done so many closings with, and they know how, what a great communicator they are and things like that. So I do think that while I say that I kind of bring everybody together, I do think that realtor is by far the most important.
Well, and I appreciate that, but I do think it's the trifecta. It's when I have a dream team of the realtor, fantastic closing attorney, and then a solid lender, and everything is just seamless, and I know I can pick up the phone and get answers from you or answers from the lender. I just can be comfortable knowing that.
No, I agree with you 100%. You have the best realtor in the world, and you have a not great lender and not responsive closing attorney in office, you're gonna have a disaster.
Yeah.
But I think that most people, and I think you'll agree, the realtor kind of starts things off, right? Like, I'm not saying they may say, oh, I'm already pre-approved with so-and-so, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, it's you guys that form that critical relationship. You're in the car, you're looking at the homes, and so you build this trust first.
Of course.
And so I think that's why having all these people that you have is so important. And then usually you can assist. You can't ever guarantee it, but with your recommendations, you can almost help create that trifecta.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Oh, it's so nice when it works. It's so nice. Well, I really appreciate this. I do like to shift gears at the end of these little conversations. And I have 3, possibly 4 questions.
Okay.
Are you from the Savannah area?
I'm not.
Okay. How did you end up here?
My wife. So I'm from Atlanta. My wife and I both went to University of Georgia, and we met and we moved to Atlanta. And I worked for a really big international law firm for many years. And then when we had babies, we didn't really have the help we needed.
Okay.
And so my wife's family's from here.
Gotcha.
So that was what it was all about.
Yeah, just getting close to family.
That's right.
All right, and last question I always ask, if you had people coming into town, 3 things that you just absolutely have to experience while they're here.
Oh my goodness. That's hard. Because there's so many things.
Well, you can give me more, but like just at least.
All right, I'm gonna just go broad brush. Okay, 3 things, and they're obvious, but you gotta go to Tybee for the day, right? You've got to, I'm gonna say you gotta walk River Street.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, it's incredible, and I'm a foodie, so I think pick one of the really awesome restaurants that we have downtown, some of the historical ones, and treat yourself, for sure.
Well, those are great answers. I know there's so many different things and like getting out on the water. And well, I appreciate you sitting down with me today.
You for having me.
Thank you.
See you guys.